Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the beautiful American Croatian Hall. I would like to thank them for allowing us to use this room tonight, and I would also like to thank the League of Women Voters and the timers who belong to the group for hosting this for us tonight. So, you understood the assignment, but I'm hoping that there will be a massive influx after the baseball game is over. Hopefully it's in our favor, but it wasn't looking good when I left. So, if you will please, if you are able, rise, remove your hats, and recite the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, thank you all for coming out here. I'm Judy Moran, on behalf of Mayor Overstreet and the City of Eastlake. We welcome you here tonight.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Beth Hutton. I'm Voter Service Chair of the League of Women Voters of Lake County. I also have two timers here, Adrienne to my left and Vicki to my right. I appreciate them being here. They will hold up 30 seconds when the candidates have 30 seconds left. They will wait until they get eye contact and put it down, and then when the time is up, they will hold up a stop sign. I let my candidates have it finish their sentence or their thought, but not for another paragraph. Please be aware of that. Okay, the format for tonight, and again, I apologize. When we set this date 6 weeks or so ago, we didn't have a prayer that the Guardians would make it to the playoffs. And as of last night, it was good because the game was going to be at 1 o'clock, but then they switched it. So I hope we'll get some more people straggling in as the game ends. So the format tonight is the candidates will each come to the microphone. We have drawn cards for their order, and they will each get 3 minutes to speak. And then after all 7 candidates have spoken, they will each get 2 minutes of rebuttal or to finish the thoughts they didn't get to finish at the beginning. There are boxes. There's one on the bar with some pink cards and some pens. There's another one on this table with pink cards and pens. If you have questions for the candidates, you can put them into the box. At the end, I will be drawing one. I will be drawing a number of them. We probably won't get through all of them if this group is as prolific as the group on Monday. But we will get through as many as we can, and I draw them without looking. So without further ado, I would like our first speaker, who's James Overstreet, to come forward for 3 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank the Croatian Hall for supporting this event and the League of Women Voters for hosting it. I'd also like to thank every one of you that showed up tonight and taking time out of your busy day. I moved to Ohio in October of '68 when my dad got transferred here with General Electric. Living in Menor, I graduated high school from Menor High in 1975. I served in the United States Marine Corps for 4 years, from 75 to 79, with another 6 in the reserves. I moved into Eastlake August of '83, renting a house on Parkway. At that time, I was working for General Electric at Hill Park when they announced they were going to close my building. So I started taking police exams and was hired by the Eastlake Police Department January 31st of 1986, which I tend to look at as an earth-moving experience, since that was the day of the magnitude 5 earthquake. During my time on the Eastlake Police Department, I bought that house on Parkway in '86, and I met my wife. We were married in '88, and we have 3 daughters who graduated North High School. During my time on the police department, I also served 12 years on the church board of Willoughby Assembly of God, and also 15 years as a volunteer for the Willoughby Service Unit of the Salvation Army. I retired from the police department in 2009 on a disability pension. I became interested in politics when a friend of mine asked me to help her with her campaign for city council. And that led to helping with the council races for another city and a commissioner's race. In In 2017, I started attending council meetings in our city, and after one of those meetings, I was approached by 2 members of council about running for council. After consulting with political friends, family, prayer, and the blessings of my wife, I was elected to council at large. I was in my 7th year when Mayor Morley passed away. Council President Spot was promoted to mayor by charter. I then moved up to council president. During the turmoil that followed, people would say, "You're next in line. What are you going to do?" I made the statement that I don't want the job, but I will not run away from it. I won't run to keep it. So on September the 23rd of 24, I read Mayor Spot's resignation letter and had to read it several times before it sank in. I thought I had a good idea of how the city worked. Boy, was I wrong. I was sworn in on the 24th and started my crash course on how the city really works. One of my first lessons was before you make decisions, to find out if there's money in the budget. My first major project was the 2025 budget. I spent 2 days with my finance director learning line items, where the money comes from, and where it goes. I think my time in the mayor's office and city council has given me a complete insight on what it takes to run a city. And I respectfully ask you for your vote to return me to council. Thank you.
Our second speaker by order of draw is David Spotton.
Hello, thank you for this opportunity, and thank you all for coming out tonight. Who I am is I'm a 3rd-generation Eastlake resident. I've been married 25 years with a 17-year-old daughter who's going to be 18 in about 2 weeks. She's goes to Will Eastlake schools and actually is attending Lakeland now as a CCP student. I've lived in Ward 1, 2, and 4. Now I live in a family home that I purchased from my father when he had health issues in Surfside. After I graduated from Will Eastlake schools, I have a degree in criminal justice. I've been a police officer in Lake County for more than 28 years. I run I'm the program coordinator for a motorcycle safety program at Lakeland for the last 25 years. It's a grant-funded program through the Department of Public Safety of Ohio. My experience is first elected to City Council in 2006, Ward 4. When I was elected, the city was in pretty poor financial shape. With cooperation with you on council, working with Mayor Morley, we're able to not just right the ship, but move the city forward. Things like the ramp park that we thought outside the box and had Excel Tech from Mayfield High School do the engineering for it. And Will Eastlake Schools, NCI did the construction of it at minimal cost of the city. The Eastlake strip sign was the same way. The splash park was a 15-year project that started with Ken Hafley, and we got it done finally, and it will open this spring. We got new fire trucks, new rescue squads, got the pay rates up, head count up in all departments, equipment for police, fire, and service was brought up to industry standards. Then I was thrust into the mayor's office on June 8, 2024 after an untimely passing of Mayor Morley. Mayor Morley was a great man. He was my friend. And to be honest with you, jumping in that office was like drinking from a fire hose. With the help from the local West End mayors, I was able to make my way. Budget, local government fund restructure, the cricket field, the digital sign in front of the fire station, solutions for properties on Vine Street, tackling billing issues with neighboring cities for more than $400,000+. That's been neglected for years. Working with the new owners from First Energy property, trying to figure out a plan to get access to the beach. And was working with the state representatives, Jerry Serino, to help find funding for a police and fire station. And I had a call into Dave Joyce's office to meet when he came back into town. Unfortunately, I stepped down before that meeting took place. Thank you for your consideration.
third speaker is Angela Schmidt.
Good evening. Thank you for your time tonight. Participating in our local election is one of the most important ways to shape the future of our community, and I'm truly grateful to be here with each of you. My name is Angela R. Schmidt. I stand before you as your neighbor, someone who's invested time, energy, and heart into serving Eastlake. Over the past 4 years, it's been an honor to serve as your councilwoman at large. I've approached this role with consistency, transparency, and dedication. I've attended every council meeting and all of my assigned committee meetings because I believe showing up matters. Leadership starts with being present, engaged, and ready to listen. My service, however, has not been confined to City Hall. I've stayed connected by writing articles in every Eastlake Gazette, sharing updates on social media, and responding personally to calls and emails. Communication and accessibility has always been a priority for me. And moving forward, I want to expand that by launching an emailed community newsletter so every household has access to what is happening in our city. I will continue working with residents, council members, and administration to keep our ordinances updated, relevant, and comparable to neighboring communities. It's important to me that it's not I, but we. Working together, each of us bring different strengths, experiences, and perspectives. And with respect and teamwork, we can view proposed ordinances or changes from all angles. For example, I advocated for strengthening the ordinance addressing massage parlors to help prevent businesses associated with trafficking. Together, council, the law director, the building department director, and the mayor participated in creating lasting change for the good of Eastlake. I regularly listen to Lake County's commissioner meetings on YouTube and participate in community meetings and task force to stay informed and engaged. This helps me learn about resources available to our community and also builds connections with local leaders and nonprofits. Beyond policy, I've always believed in serving with a servant's heart, whether volunteering at the monthly Senior Center food distributions, supporting Willow Praise's back-to-school backpack and coat drives, coordinating Thanksgiving Day meal deliveries, stocking free libraries and food pantries, or serving as a buddy for the Miracle League Tigers. I find purpose in giving back. These experiences, along with my membership at Eastlake Women's Club, and role as liaison for Eastlake Community Development Committee, keep me grounded in what truly matters, the people of Eastlake. I work hard to remain approachable and open. I believe everyone deserves representation, and I'm committed to serving the residents with respect and fairness. On November 4th, I'm asking for your support. My goal has always been, and will continue to be, creating lasting and positive changes to make Eastlake a place where families want to live, businesses want to grow, and people are proud to call home. Thank you, and God bless.
Our next speaker will be Chris Croatian.
It is daunting up here. Sorry about that. If I talk too fast, I apologize. First of all, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters at Croatian Hall and Brian Massey from Lobbyists for Citizens who's recording tonight, which is really important. Good evening, friends and neighbors of Eastlake. It has been my privilege to serve as your council at large, and tonight I stand before you to ask for continued trust and support. My commitment to the city has always been clear: to keep Eastlake safe, financially responsible, and moving toward a stronger future. Safety remains my top priority. Our first responders are the backbone of public protection and work to ensure the tools and training and resources they need to act swiftly and effectively. Together we've strengthened emergency response. We'll hopefully be expanding our safety services to our waterways and protected the well-being of every family in our city. Accountability is essential to good government. Every decision we make as leaders must serve the people of Eastlake. I remain steadfast in holding officials accountable, myself and everyone else, ensuring our actions reflect the values of our community. We share a responsibility to leave Eastlake stronger, safer, and better than when it was entrusted to us. Fiscal responsibility guides my decisions. Your tax dollars must be spent wisely. I've taken a realistic approach to budgeting, been diligent in spending, and focused on funding the services and projects that matter most to you, the residents. Stewardship of public resources is not just a duty, it's a promise I intend to keep. My experience matters. Since 2021, I've served as your council at large, chairing ordinance and the WPCC committee. Before that, I spent 17 years volunteering and leading the Eastlake Community Block Watch, growing it from 50 members to 7,000. I've created the SCRAM program for safety and have served as an OCPA crime prevention specialist with the state of Ohio since 2019. These years of leadership have taught me how to build consensus, solve problems, and deliver results to our city. Revitalizing Eastlake is our opportunity. I'm dedicated to transforming our waterways, our pier, and the Vine Street corridor into thriving spaces for family, businesses, and visitors. Revitalization will bring new life and energy to our city, making Eastlake a place where people want to live, where we want to work, and invest in our future. Friends, Eastlake is more than where we live. It's our home. It's a home I've called my own for 56 years. I met my husband here. I've been married for 32 years, and I have an amazing son who's an airman in the United States Air Force. I know there is still more work to be done. I look forward to serving with whomever you entrust with your vote. I promise I will devote myself to protecting and improving it, and I know there is still more to do. With your support, we can continue building a safe, financially strong, and vibrant city for the next generation. I respectfully ask for your vote so we can keep moving Eastlake forward together. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Michael Semick.
Good evening, everybody. And I'd also like to thank the League of Women Voters for organizing this event, and to all of you for being here and being active and engaged in our community. How I like to start anything of this nature is to try to make sure that everyone's aware that I am not related to the Michael Semick that was our council person and service director before. I do know his daughter and didn't know Mike, but from what I understand, it created quite a headache for him because people kept calling his house looking for me. So just like to make sure that everyone realizes that. I've lived in Eastlake for roughly 50 years. I have 3 children who have gone through the Willoughby Eastlake school systems, as did I, and I have 2 granddaughters, one who is currently enrolled in Willoughby Eastlake school systems and one who will be in the next few years. So I do take a deep pride in being part of Eastlake's story for decades. My primary career, I've been with the same company for the last 28 years. 26 of those years, I've been our quality manager, which helped me to learn and develop skills in problem solving, accountability, listening, and continuous improvement. All these skills directly translate to the work that I currently do for the city as our Vice President of City Council. My pathway to City Council has been through community involvement. In 2017, roughly, I began a group called Be Active Tuesday, which focused on bringing fitness and community together. After seeing the positive impacts that was making, I decided I wanted to do a little bit more, and that's when I joined the planning committee. After being on planning committee, I decided, it was working out really well, and I'd like to do a little bit more for the city, and that's when I decided to make my run for city council the first time. My work on city council, I've tried to focus on transparency, communication, and recreation. I built tracking tools for legislation and for resident concerns to hold not just myself accountable, but to hold others accountable as well. This also made sure that nothing fell through the cracks and that I was able to monitor my progress and make continuous improvements on my performance as well. In closing, I'd just like to ask everybody to look beyond any campaign promises or what any of us say or do in the months leading up to this election, but take into account our entire body of work, how we've championed the city and the businesses who call us home, and how we've treated and interacted with members of our community. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Carolyn Kinghoff. Good evening. My name is Carolyn Kinkoff. I would like to thank the City of Eastlake, League of Women's Voters of Lake County, and American Croatian Lodge for hosting this informative event, and residents for spending time learning about each council-at-large candidate. Thank you to my spouse, Tom, a lifelong Eastlake resident, our family, friends, and neighbors for your continuous support. Additionally, thank you to the Northeast Ohio UAW Community Action Program CAP Council for endorsing my candidacy for the November 2025 general election. By its very definition, civic responsibility means taking a healthy role in the life of one's community. That means that classroom lessons should be complemented by work outside the classroom. Service learning does just that, tying community service to academic learning. John Glenn, astronaut and senator. There is strength in civic responsibility when combining community service and work with academic learning. I am a generational leader, 29-year City of Eastlake homeowner with my first home in Surfside, and currently employed as a budget and operations coordinator for the provost office at Cleveland State University, with degrees including a Bachelor of Science in Biology and Master of Business Administration, or MBA. I have completed coursework towards my PhD as a doctoral candidate in Urban Studies and Public Affairs at CSU, and am progressing towards dissertation. My classroom lessons in financial administration, planning law, and policy complement my work outside of the classroom as co-founder of the Alliance Against Human Trafficking, securing community service with academic learning. This service learning is further demonstrated through civic engagement as an active member of several nonprofit boards, including the Alliance Against Human Trafficking, Cleveland Missing, and GFWC Eastlake Women's Club. Active participation provides opportunities to work alongside community members, victims, survivors, law enforcement, fire, EMS, medical, mental health, legal, legislative, and education professionals. I am ready to begin starting day one. I support a safe community, strong City of Eastlake, and bright future as we move forward in a positive direction. Please vote for me, Carolyn Kinkoff, for Council at Large. Thank you.
And our final speaker for the first round is Mr. John Bowles.
Thank you everyone for being here, and League of Women Voters and the Croatian Club for hosting. As everyone else has said, I mean, it's very important that we do these types of things. I'm a fourth generation resident of the city. My great-grandfather came over from Poland and worked the farms that were originally in Eastlake in 1907. My grandfather was the head custodian for Willoughby Eastlake schools at Grant when my mother and my uncle were younger. My uncle was a first graduating class of North High School, and my sisters and I, we did not do all of that well at those things. My mother was a single parent. We scraped by, we made things work. We've struggled a lot to just be one of the standard residents of the city. So I know where we're coming from when it's the 9-to-5 working class in the city. Most of us don't make enough to even be considered middle class, even though we are median income. I want to be able to focus on things to where living in this city makes things better for my great-grandchildren, not see them fall further behind. The reason why I'm running is to bring new, innovative ideas and things that I'm passionate about to the ear of people who can actually make a change. working with the team of whoever gets elected in, whoever's already in office, to try to make things future forward, future thinking. Right now, the state is trying to get, or people are trying to get amendments on the ballot to get rid of property taxes. That'll get rid of a third of the city's budget right there. How are we going to manage those problems and make things better for our grandkids and great-grandkids? The schools are going to lose a lot of their funding from that as well. We need to figure out ways to make it to where the kids are actually benefiting from our work, not just the council's work, but everybody's work in this community. So it's really hard to watch all of the hard work that everybody does here and everything just continue to downward slide because everything seems to be stacked against us. And I'd really like to be able to have the opportunity to do better for us. I don't really have much more to say than that, so even though I have 30 seconds, I just, again, would like to say thank you all and would love the opportunity to represent the smaller voice of this community and do more for us. Thank you again.
James Overstreet, you have 2 more minutes. Okay, he's going to pass. So our next speaker would be David Spotton.
Like say, take a moment to, my campaign is return honor and integrity to council. Return me. That's the way I live my life. Honor, integrity, doing the right thing. I call people back. I answer their emails. I go to their house. And I'm an advocate for the residents when they ask me to. Again, thanks for the time. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Angela Schmidt.
I just wanted to do a little just continuation. Another priority for me is continuing improvements along the Vine Street corridor. I attended the public meetings, and while the paving project was an important step, we need to look ahead that it's done. I will advocate for walkability, bike safety, and overall accessibility so that the people of all ages and all abilities can enjoy this vital area. At the same time, I will support efforts to make Vine Street more welcoming and attractive, not just for residents, but also for businesses that call it home. And I forgot a little bit about me because I just assume you all know me. I'm a wife, mom, grandma, which I know is shocking. And my daughter is 13. She is at Soy. She is a proud mom woman. She is currently in Lake County leadership and just shows that the heart of our family. We are a very community-oriented person. And one quick share about her is she did cross country the other day, and as her coach came up to me, she's like, Angela, I have to tell you something. She's like, as we're running the course, we realized there's tents in the woods. We were in kind of a different area. And she's like, we had to talk to Estella because we knew she would stop and try to help these people. So just so you can see my family, my heart, and what we're about. Thank you.
Chris Pontiac.
Okay, I'm just going to kind of continue on from where I left off. In my time on council, I focused on getting real results for Eastlake and results that mattered for family businesses and the future of the city. I've spent 17 years leading the Block Watch. As I said before, we've grown from 50 people to 7,000 people, and that's huge. We've organized park patrols, cleaning neighborhoods, and educating our residents on crime prevention. I was one of the individuals who formed the Fire Levy Committee and helped to secure the only levy to pass since the 1980s, strengthening funding for our safety forces. I know Dave Spott and Jim Overstreet were on there as well. Since being elected, I've authored and supported key legislation to keep our city safe and attractive, placing moratoriums on vape shops, banning metal shipping containers in neighborhoods. There were 17 in the parking lot at Walmart when I got on, and I could not understand how the current council let them sit there for 4 years. Regulating short-term rentals to protect our residential areas. Restricting large advertising billboards that distract and disrupt our community. Anticipating and addressing e-scooter safety issues before they became a bigger problem. Advocating for nuisance abatement laws to protect housing and neighborhood quality. And I will tell you today, I have always been an advocate for a rental inspection program. We're the only city to not have one. That decreases our housing stock, and looking at the gestalt of our city, it's something that we really need to do. I've personally helped over 200 residents and business owners. I've helped property maintenance, safety concerns, homelessness, and something near and dear to me, addiction support, because good government means helping people where they are. Safety isn't enough. We also have incredible assets to build on. Our waterways and riverfronts are part of Eastlake's story and its future. These resources are unique to us, and with the right vision, we can use them to drive opportunity, attract investment, and bring pride back to Eastlake for the next generation. Thank you very much.
Michael Simmons.
First, I'd like to thank all the candidates for your remarks tonight. It's clear that all of us deeply care about the city of Eastlake and wants what's best for our community. While we may differ in our approach, I believe we all share the same common goals. Safer streets, better recreation, a more responsive government, and community pride. Hopefully we can work together to achieve these common goals. I'm not here to tear anybody down, I'm here to lift Eastlake up. I'll work with anyone on council who has the same respect, accountability, and genuine love for our city as I do. But while you're choosing amongst us, I hope you consider not just what we promise, but the meaningful accomplishments that we've achieved already, whether in our personal lives or in direct service to our city. Trusting that we'll continue our mission to make Eastlake better. Eastlake deserves leaders who unite, listen, and deliver. Thanks.
Carolyn Kinkoff. And we agree that building a better community depends on collaboration between City of Eastlake administration, council, departments, commissions, businesses, and residents. And we also agree that elected officials must uphold the law and be a voice for the residents of Eastlake, our constituents. Council and the administration should represent the residents of Eastlake by exemplifying dignity, honor, respect, and and integrity. I hope we agree that I exemplify every one of those qualities. As a former practicing paralegal with years of managerial experience, in addition to my support of all of these things, including departments, services, and budget oversight, I also believe our charter should include a code of conduct and required ethics training for all City of Eastlake employees and elected officials. Let's work together to build a better community with changes that are important to you too. Thank you. John Bowles.
Realized after sitting down I didn't really tell you much about me personally, so I figured I should let you know. I'm a husband. I've been married for 10 years. I have 6 kids with two are my wife's, 2 are mine, and 2 are ours together. And 5 of them have been going through the Wilkie Eastlake School program. 2 of them are actually enrolled in soy. I have started off working at 16 years old. I got my GED at 16 years old. And I've almost had a bachelor's in video game art and design because that was my passion. But I chose family over my dreams. And I think it was a good choice. I like my family. They're good people. They're fun. So I work hard for them. I manage my budget on a single income to be able to make sure that we have food on the table, roof over our head, and I know it's not an easy thing for people to do, especially with a single income. I've gone from working in restaurants to being a mechanical engineer with 2 patents under my name, and then now I'm working as a team lead in a automation control panel assembly shop or contract manufacturer right down the street here. And I got the position of team lead just through my hard work and dedication to doing what needs to be done, making their systems run more accurately and efficiently, and I helped them make a lot more money last year and the year before than they did years prior because of that. I know I can do the same type of stuff in any type of job I put into. I work hard, I figure it out, I make sure that we don't waste time focusing on the things that don't bring us the most benefit. And I'll try to do the same on any team that I'm on. I would appreciate the opportunity to be on your guys' team more. Thank you.
Okay, that's the end of their presentations. While my husband is walking around, is there anybody else that has a card to put in a question to put in the box? Okay, he will collect those. As he's collecting those and bringing them forward, I want to remind you that October 6th is the deadline to register to vote. Now, I'm assuming that most of you have already registered, but remember, if you have moved since you last voted, you need to update your registration. Also, if you've gotten married or otherwise changed your name, you also need to update it. Early voting will start on October 7th, the next day. If you have already applied for an absentee ballot, which you could have done for the last couple weeks, remember that they will not be mailed until October 7th, so you won't be getting it right away. The other interesting thing that's going on in Willoughby Eastlake this year is you have 2 candidates for school board who are write-in candidates. I have never done a write-in before, so I'm going to just go through it quickly. If you are using absentee ballot, it's very easy. You just darken the circle and you write in the name of the candidate that you choose. If you are at a voting booth, you click on the empty space underneath the names, and a typewriter should pop up and you can type in the name. So it's not as hard as it could be. For the questions, we will, unless it's a very complicated question, we will give each candidate 1 minute. What I'm going to do is not make them get up. That wastes a lot of our time. So I will just start at one end this time. I will rotate where I start. This time I'm going to start with Ms. Kroniak. Oh my, it's a long one. Okay, this says, despite the clear and unambiguous language of the Charter, the 100% incorrect legal advice you've received for those on council, why haven't you moved to remove a council member who has committed several actions that violate the Charter? For those running for council, can you pledge tonight that if elected, you will begin proceedings to have him removed ASAP?
Well, I think that I know what this is directed at, but I'm going to tell you that no matter where we are on council, we need 4 votes to do something. So I can choose to do one thing, but we need 4 people to move something forward. The day that I became, when I was elected and I was sworn in, our law director said, I hope that I earn your trust because I know that you have an issue with me being here. I've since been working with Law Director Clammer very well, And unfortunately, in this situation, we disagreed wholeheartedly. As a council member, it was very difficult for us to make this decision. I know that some on council decided to make him council president. And I can just tell you that moving forward, the four of us that are up here, well, the seven of us, we're all going to have to work together in order to try to make decisions. This is a very complicated thing because of the legalities of it, but I promise that I will continue, as I always have done, to make decisions that are difficult, even though they may not be popular.
If there's someone who is not, shouldn't actually be there, then yeah, I would definitely want to look into that and see what kind of information is needed to make the right decision. I assume I know who we're talking about, but I don't want to say anything specific about any of that. But I would definitely personally look into stuff and try to figure out what the best course of action is and discuss with the rest of the team how we could work together to make that best decision. It's really the only thing that I could offer on that information.
Well, if anyone here knows me, you know my heart, you know my passion. Several council members remained silent when one of their own was convicted in a criminal case as the result of a moral turpitude violation of Ohio law. Laws protect victims. In each one of the Ohio Attorney General's press releases about Ohio law enforcement operations, he references that the task forces identify potential victims of human trafficking who are offered social services. What if it were your child? This was not a mistake. It was criminal conduct, and my record speaks for itself. And that is why I am up here today, but I am not here to remove anyone. I am here to work collaboratively for a better community, for a safe community, because our children and every resident deserves that. Thank you.
I kind of figured this question would come up. And during my time on council, no, I don't agree with what happened and how it happened. But justice system was served. He's done his time, and he was on the ballot and he was reelected. I believe in. I don't agree with what he did, but I believe in forgive and forget. That's my opinion.
So this is a hard one. I'm going to echo what Chris has said, and then I'm going to kind of go into a little bit about me, and then you can see where I am, and you make your judgment. When council reorganized, I did vote no as for president. I put my time, where you can see where I put my time and effort. I do not support this type of trafficking or prostitution. I attend monthly meetings for the Lake County START sexual assault response teams. In 2023-2024, I attend the Safe Spaces Task Force meetings. That is through Signature Health with Lisa Huendorf. In 2025, I got to attend, I am now attending the Community Action Planning meetings. As a part of the Eastlake Women's Club, I do with Sue Foss, the spa bags for domestic violence, support group members, as well as the Christmas program where we support people with domestic violence.
So in regards to the actual concern, I also don't agree with the actions that were taken by the individual, and I'm disappointed in the way the council did handle the situation. But in the grand scheme of things, if someone's actions 100% black and white clearly violate our charter, I would advocate for the removal of that person. None of us have law degrees and have to go by the direction of our law director, Randy Clammer, and that's how we got to where we're at now.
So I understand where this question comes from. As a police officer, I try to do the right thing, but follow the letter of the law and follow the law director. I don't have a law degree either, and the law director laid out the path that he felt was the best to go with. That individual stepped down when it was appropriate to do so, and at this point he got reelected. So that's where we are in history. Goes forward, and anything like that happens, we'll still lean into the law director for guidance.
Mr. Spotton, I'll let you keep the microphone. We're going from a very hard question to one that I think is fun. If you received a $1 million grant to use for the city any way you wanted, what would you do with it and why?
Redo Vine Street. And then Vine Street is it's got its hurdles because we have the longest stretch of Vine Street and the most expensive stretch of Vine Street to do any real tangible changes to it. So I'd take that money and redo that.
So what I would like to see happen with that money, if we receive that grant, is put it towards a recreation department and recreation activities. There's a fantastic rail to trail opportunity that runs between downtown Willoughby and the city of Eastlake. It crosses right through US Bikeway 30, which is Lakeshore Boulevard, and I'd like to see that eventually be built to join our two cities to get more exposure to the city of Eastlake and allow our residents to enjoy that kind of activity.
So I'm going to go with Dave on the Vine Street. I am very pro small business and families. So I think that if we can address Vine Street and make it more family friendly and bring more businesses in, it could be such a wonderful stretch for our community. There's so much potential, and it's freeway access. It just needs a little love, and that really would be nice.
I'm going to agree with Dave and Angela that the Vine Street corridor is already addressing some of that program between Willoughby, Eastlake, and Willoughby, along with Lake Tran. But we could add that $1 million to help attract businesses to the empty shops on Vine Street and the vineyards.
All good answers. We would have a lot of fun with that $1 million. I would create grant-funded jobs under a contract for a specified period of time in accordance with the charter, in hopes of renewals of more grant money. I would hire a rec director under one of those contracts, recreation director. I would also hire an economic development director. No offense to our mayor, but wouldn't it be nice if we could have somebody leading the charge for them to focus on doing so many other duties of the mayor, and somebody else to grow business here in Eastlake, and perhaps attract some more housing, for affordable housing for our residents. Thank you.
I had $1 million to invest in the city, or $1.5 million. One of the pet projects that I would love to see happen, and that we are allowed to do by state law, is develop our own microgrid system. Turn the parking lot for Captain Stadium into a power generator where we can make 2 megawatts of electricity a day on average throughout the year, have energy backup built into the system, and be able to sell that energy at a lower rate to our citizens, and build it out even farther while it's producing money to keep itself going, so that we can become a battery backup for the potential data center that I heard that they want to build up at the old CEI building. That would give us revenue generation as a city and make up for some of the shortfalls that we're making. Also reduce the expenses coming out of our residents' pockets. Another thing that I would like to be able to do with that money, if that wouldn't be enough, is get more involved with our students. And sorry.
Wow, okay, if I had $1 million, I've actually had this discussion with my husband before. So if I had $1 million to devote to the city, I would want to hire an economic development director. We haven't had one in the city as a full-time econ director who has experience and knowledge since Angela Conovincenella. That's been at least 17 years ago. So someone who's skilled in TIF funding, creative zoning, and economic grants that can be applied to businesses on Vine Street. See, Vine Street, the city of Eastlake doesn't have a downtown center like downtown Willoughby, so we have to create one, which is at 91 and Vine. We have the ability to recreate that entire key intersection. Secondly, our waterways and riverfront. From the Native American Indians who first founded this area to when we became the village of St. John till now, and now with the Port Authority doing so much down there, we have kayaking, canoeing, boating. We need to really focus on that and tie that in with the economic development. We have a real great gem down there, and it really needs to be capitalized upon. So I think I would do those two things.
Thank you. We're going to start with Mr. Bowles this time and go to his left and then come back to Ms. Brainiac. I try to mix it up. As a resident of Eastlake first, what specific issues within the city are you looking forward to addressing?
Specific issues that I'd like to address are standard ones. The face of the city and trying to make it not a blow through the city type of city or just go to Walmart and get out like we do. Fix roads, work with citizens, especially our elder citizens, to try to figure out ways to help them to maintain their yards better, because it's a lot of work, even for younger people who are working full time to come home and do these things. So those are the types of issues that I want to try to figure out, is how we can better work together to make the city as beautiful as we want it to be and it can be. I know that we also have other issues that need to be repairs and things that need to be worked on as well, but those are the main ones that I think I would personally like to work on first.
For me, it's safety, services, and fiscal responsibility, of course with transparency. For safety, I was excited to see that the Eastlake Police Department finally received a grant from the state of Ohio for body cameras, long overdue. We have the renovation of the 2 safety buildings coming up, and we are only at the beginning of what's happening with that. I would very much like to be a part of the changes, the exciting changes that are coming to Eastlake. Services, our road infrastructure. The other day, when we were here for the Meet the Mayor candidates night, I listened and heard that sometimes the lists are outdated. That's the number one thing that I hear when I'm canvassing the neighborhoods. When are you going to fix my street? Can you fix my street? What can you do? Well, first I have to get elected, and then we can talk. Fiscal responsibility. As you heard, it's important to understand the budget line by line, and that is something that I am looking forward to being involved with if elected. Thank you.
Two of the big things that I think of are working on legislation to hold property owners more accountable for the looks of their property, the maintenance of their property, and along the same lines, the rental inspections, to hold landlords more accountable for their properties rather than just slapping a temporary repair on it and the landlord's too afraid to complain because he might get evicted. I'd like to see the laws have more teeth, and which would also require cooperation with the Willoughby Municipal Court, because from what I understand from building, a lot of the citations we send up there get dealt down or just dropped. That's what I got.
Thank you. I think everyone has wonderful, wonderful ideas, and I agree with all of them. For me, it's improving communication. And because as we make changes, it's important that it's communicated with you, the resident, also with the businesses. Going into council, there's a learning curve. And you learn things. And so for me, I would, now that I kind of know how some of it flows, I do write the Gazette articles, and I do try to post on social, but then not everyone is on there. And not everyone receives the articles. So for me, it's just finding ways to reach more people with the changes.
Well, Mayor Overstreet and Councilwoman Schmitz are all on the same page with myself. I'd just like to add, as well as the property owners, but the business owners as well, and making sure they keep their business properties looking well. Next, I'd also like to improve the communication with our residents. As nice as the electronic sign looks out front of City Hall, I've never really been a fan of it because of its location, primarily because half of our city doesn't drive past there. I'd like to work on our social media presence, on our website, and getting the word out to everybody around about how great Eastlake is and what we have to offer. At events, that's one of the big things. Afterwards, I usually hear is, I didn't hear about it. And as much as several of us share on social media, it just baffles me that happens. So I think we need to improve communication.
So some of the others have said a rental program. We started this a couple of years ago, and actually was spearheaded by Kim Evers. It was a non-owner occupied single-family dwelling occupancy permit, and it was moving through council. We had a plan, and unfortunately, towards the end, we didn't have the votes, so it got shelved, and that's where it's been ever since. But I'd like to get that moving and in place.
So I'm going to tie my crime prevention specialty hat on, prevention specialist on. Rental inspections are huge. I think we need a rental program. The ordinance and nuisance abatement laws need to be updated. They're woefully antiquated. As most of you know, driving down Vine Street, it is looking worse and worse and worse, in my opinion. I've lived here for 56 years, and I've seen the different ways that the different incarnations of it, and I think it needs a lot of work, which ties into my economic development director thing. I will also echo communication. Our website, we don't have a webmaster. We have nobody essentially running it. We have people that add to it. However, directors like our police chief and fire chief cannot add to it. And I'll echo, again, what another colleague of mine said with regards to, we go to different events and people afterwards have no idea what happened. So I think it's incredibly important to do better communication. We just don't have that here.
Thank you. This question, we'll start with Ms. Schmidt. What are your duties, or what would be your duties as a council at large representative? I'm sorry. So, not holding a political office before, but with an understanding of it, I understand that the council members write legislation. And in order for us to write that legislation and ordinances and to have them passed, we must also work with administration in order for them to be enacted. We must work with every department. So, for example, if there's an ordinance for people to maintain their lawns, we have to work with the building department in order to make sure the fines are delivered. But I only have 30 seconds, and one of my ideas is to perhaps take the programs that we have with youth, and instead of cutting grass or picking up garbage, maybe we could help some of our senior citizens and start painting houses and doing some things in the community that will be helpful to those who can no longer help themselves. Thank you.
I agree with Ms. Kinkoff. The purpose of council is to work with the administration to respond to residents' complaints and help them with their problems. And part of that is working through the building, through service, through the law department if necessary, talk to police and fire to help them with problems, and work on new legislations.
So I'm just going to add or you're just going to keep hearing the same thing. We also are assigned to different committees. So, for example, I'm the chair of WPCC. I'm the liaison to Eastlake Community Development Committee and a member of Ordinance and Finance. Each committee has different functions and responsibilities. We also advocate for you.
And we have council meetings are always the second and fourth Tuesday of the month.
So aside from approving the budget and working on legislation, voting on it, any ordinances and whatnot that get approved through an ordinance committee as a team, my opinion, council is kind of like the customer service for the city, and we work with the administration. Residents reach out to us with concerns and problems, and one of the tools that I built was to track those concerns, see which wards we're experiencing the most concerns from, and which category that those concerns come from. I'd like to expand on that eventually, if given the chance next term, and start having ward meetings in each different ward so we can listen to residents and start addressing problems before they happen and be a little bit more proactive.
Be a good steward of your money, be an advocate for all the residents and for your needs. Attract businesses for development. Just want to reflect on it. For instance, I had a resident Surfside that was concerned about an easement, and you had to go out to the county, so I went to the engineer's office and pulled the plats, the layouts for Surfside from 1957, I believe, to find an answer for this resident. So.
It wasn't up. Sorry. What are your duties as councilperson? Council Barge.
So first and foremost, and I think people really forget this aspect of it, we are legislators. We write laws. Remember back in school you were taught there were 3 branches of government, and we're here as a checks and balance system. So legislation is really important. My forte is more with the ordinance aspect of it. We're also outreach and advocacy. As I said, I've reached out just in the last 3 years that I can go back as far as I can. 200 individual text messages, phone calls, people coming to my home, messages on Facebook. And I take that very seriously. I've gone to people's homes and sat down with 6 neighbors to try to solve issues with them. So it's really important that you advocate, be good stewards of money. One of our things that we have to do is we have to pass a budget. You know, we are required, and the state wants and requires us to at least pass 1 year have 1 year of operating expenses in our coffers. And we're dealing with about a $27 million budget and a $5 million carryover currently. So it's really important that while we all want to create different programs, we have to be mindful of fiscal responsibility. It's your money, and we're responsible for it. Thank you.
Yeah, well, last one. Everybody else has answered the question of what the job is. It's just being there for you guys. It's listening to what you say and then trying to make laws and regulations and rules to help the city adhere to a societal code, to help us all work together as a team to achieve the goals that we want to achieve. That's really all it boils down to, honestly. Just do the right thing for you guys.
Thank you. This time I will start with Mission and not figure out. How do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process in our city?
That's a good one. So I think I'm accessible and present. I'm in the community. I am always available. My phone number is listed, my email is listed, so I think just being present through different clubs, committees. I just try to network. When I do the food distribution is probably when I get a lot of questions from residents. So I think the best way for me to do that is one, please, if you see me at Walmart, grab me. I'm okay with that. I just try to be open and available.
So I think this circles back to the whole communication aspect of it. We need to make sure our residents are aware of not just our council meetings, but all the committee meetings, because the meat and potatoes of what happens in city council happens in the committee meetings, not so much at the council meeting. Also letting having the ward meetings, I think, is going to go a long way in getting folks out there and getting the word out of what's going on in the city. And then, just making sure that they're all aware, tying it all back to communication improvements.
I would continue to write articles in Eastlake Gazette, be around at events, when you talk to a lot of residents, be available. I know there's some record of some people in council that don't answer the phone or don't return their calls. And I many times drop things and go right to their house and visit with them so they can show me their issues firsthand.
How do you plan to involve residents in the decision making?
Well, I'll echo Angela. That is really so that's a tough one. I think one of the things that I'm really good at is the accessibility aspect. Again, I have people coming to my home, calling me all the time, and I think that's really important to be out there for people. Networking is incredibly important, and I do that on the daily. I have a very flexible schedule during the day, so anybody can reach me. I do not comprehend that somebody would call one of us and have somebody not respond to that. I just can't wrap my brain around that. We work for you. You are our boss. We are supposed to be there for you. I would like everybody to understand that you need to come to committee meetings. That is where the meat and potatoes happens. That's where we make our decisions. They're usually made by the time that we get to council. I would also like to see, as a side note, we don't have as many committee meetings as we used to. Years ago, finance used to meet once a month at least. We barely meet. Ordinance used to meet once a month. Now it's on an as-need basis. So I think we need a little bit of reorganization here, and I look forward to being able to do that for you. Thank you.
The way to get people involved, in my opinion, is to start getting more involved with the younger people. I mean, my generation didn't have a lot of involvement from our politicians and our city government, and as you can see, we're not very involved as a generation. So a little bit of getting more involved with the younger students, like the high schoolers. Going to where people work is also important because I want to be able to get businesses involved with the high schoolers too. As you can tell, I have a lot of kids, so there's a lot of focus around that. So you can always do email, phone calls, see me out in public and talk to me. I mean, that's a given. If I see anyone in trouble, I stop and try to help them, even if it's just taking bags to their cart. I'm always willing to talk about anything going on and everything, and just off the top of my head. So it's really just, I'm available whenever you need me, kind of thing.
Very nice. Very good. I plan to be accessible and to listen to residents. Through my nonprofit work, I built a multidisciplinary team with other community leaders at the local, county, state, and federal levels. Most importantly, in building that coalition is including survivor voices with lived experience for survivor-informed education. I plan to use those skills and contacts through my networking to help residents solve their problems they are facing in the city of Eastlake with our own council members and administration. Thank you.
During my time on council and in the mayor's office, I have responded to phone calls and emails. But sometimes the people don't like the answer, but it's true and it's correct. Communication is the key. I've tried to do everything I can to get that person that answer.
Mr. Overstreet, will begin with you this time. I have watched a lot of dysfunction and public disputes by members of council. What will you do to avoid this behavior, and how will you collaborate with the mayor?
That's a good one. You got to realize you're dealing with 7 different individuals individuals, 7 different personalities, and not everybody's going to agree. There's going to be disagreements, there's going to be arguments, there's going to be hard feelings. The best you can do is try to work through those feelings to get the best results for the residents. And then you try to do the same thing with the administration.
So I think that I'd be curious to see what the references are for this, because I think that there's quite a few of us that work actually really well together. And even though there are, if you look at us, we definitely have different passions, definitely have some different, beliefs and stuff, but a lot of that gets set aside and we work together in the committee. I think we're adults, and you got to be an adult and know that we're advocating for other people, and choose peace. Drama's not worth it, and so I don't have time for that. So I guess I don't know how to answer this. I feel like I do my best to show up. I tend to be a pretty cordial person and do what I need to do, and then move on. So sorry if I didn't. I don't know if I've answered that.
Well, I'd be the first to admit that there's been quite a bit of dysfunction in our administration and our council over the last few years. I think the way to work through that is to work collaboratively and put your egos aside and just do what's best for the city.
Most have said, everybody can disagree. We all come from different backgrounds, different experiences, but we treat each other with respect and honor.
Thank you for the question. So one of the things that I would say when I said before, you need 4 votes up here, but you also have to remember there are 7 people. We all have different personalities, and we do have different strengths, and we go about things differently, but ultimately we're moving forward as a team, and I think that that's really important. I will also say, whomever our next mayor is, communication is really key, and I've heard one of the candidates really focus on that, and I think that's important. Secondly, what you may feel is dysfunction, please understand that when we feel that something is wrong, we have to follow that all the way through. We have to investigate it, look at it, and again, if there's a decision that's made and it's a hard one and it's an unpopular one, sometimes it still needs to be done. Again, you guys are the bosses. We work for you, and we all have your best interest at heart. Sometimes it comes across as dysfunction, but truly at the end of the day, to use one of Mr. Mayor Morley's favorite lines, we all work together at the end of the day, and when we come into council, we do our best to do that.
I have to deal with this a lot with my family and my work, and it's always best, in my experience, to have everyone take a step back, let them focus and drop the feelings a little bit, and then get back to work, because a lot of the dysfunction you'll see in any situation is people letting their feelings run them rather than the problem at hand that needs to be solved. So it might be just the dad in me saying that, but it's more of a, well, let's slow down and worry about moving forward.
Thank you. I plan to remain solution-focused and steadfast in bringing residents, business owners, council, and administration together. Communication is essential. We may not always agree, but we must work together towards resolutions for the greater good of our city and constituents. For example, I met with Mayor Morley and attended council meetings with my concerns. We didn't always agree, we had different opinions, but we were peaceful, respectful, and came to a resolution that was best for the city. I'm looking forward to more peaceful resolutions with all of you. Thank you.
Okay, this one should be a quick answer from all of you, I would think. As a public official, if you were one of the administrators of a community social media page, would you allow all community members to participate or remove those who disagree with you?
I believe that everybody in the community should be able to be a member of a social media page that focuses on the city of Eastlake.
Also agree that if it's promoting the city and discussions about the city are happening on it, it should be open to all residents, to all public.
Thank you. As a person that runs a private group for many, many years prior to becoming on council, private groups on social media are treated as such. They are private groups. Whether or not topics cross over and talk about things that are happening in the community. A public group on a social media page has and should allow everyone in there. Just like the city of Eastlake has a Facebook page, everyone, and there are laws around this. So there are frameworks that we have to work in. The city of Eastlake space. I'm sorry, what's that?
You're claiming it. Yes. No, it is your right to speak. Please do not speak.
There you go. I'm sorry. So anyway, the city of Eastlake has a Facebook page. It's a social media page that is open to everybody, and that's the way that it's always been run. Most cities have social media pages, whether they're community pages or their Facebook pages from the city proper. But again, there are laws around this, so I guess that would be the answer to that.
If I were running either a public or a private social media thing, private, I would say definitely citizens always should be accepted, even no matter what the discourse is, what we disagree on, because that's the whole point of the group, in my opinion, would be to get information from the citizens, whether or not I agree with that information. Public, yes, anyone can join, but private, I would restrict it solely to citizens personally, because that's kind of what we need, is a better public forum for us. And to exile people from even a private group when you are representing the city and claiming it as part of the way that you are representing the city is, I think, more of a detriment to the city than a help, personally.
So I have a little bit of information from my studies on this one. For social media pages, private groups fall under the discretion of the content creator. There are laws governing social media. Again, you all know this, but I'm not an attorney. I've stated that in past presentations. However, public information is for public access. Private groups are not public information. In my studies, I cannot use private group information and cite that information if I am part of that group, just so you all know. And there are rules of engagement. If the rules are broken, even public pages block content or remove those pages. That's all I got for you. Thanks.
I'm kind of on the fence with social media. I do believe it has its place for putting out information, but I don't believe it should be used for... You get a post that's put up and the content goes away from that post and devolves into one person attacking another. That's not how social media is supposed to work, especially for a city-operated page. It should be restricted to that topic. I've seen it where it tends to go off on a tangent of its own. That's where the content gets turned off. And on the other side, it's good for putting out information, for getting the information out there, but it should not be used to, I want to complain about this to the city, because we don't monitor that for complaints. There are channels for that.
So I'm fine with having a public page.
I personally have a public page. Y'all are more than welcome to join it. It's family friendly though, so that's the one thing I'll ask you. So I think it's important for us to meet people where if you're on social media and that's a tool that we can reach you, that's how we need to reach you. So I think I'm good with it. I think it's important, it's needed, and I'm not going to get into the restrictions. I'm not for that.
Okay, the next question is kind of fun again. What do you love about Eastlake? But what concerns do you have? So I'm going to begin at this end and we'll go to the right.
I love the people here. Good Midwestern, good folk here. Community's changing though, so, and again, that falls into the rental inspections or the non-owner occupied single-family dwelling inspections, permits to maintain our housing stock, keep the city looking like it does.
I basically love everything Eastlake has to offer, from everything involving our river to hopefully eventually our lakefront. I love all the engagements that we have with the community, all the events that we have with the community. Eventually, I hope more people start showing up to some of those things. I'm a big fan of the car shows. The Miracle League is near and dear to me as well as the Captain Stadium. So I'd like to keep promoting these things and moving on.
So obviously I love all of this, so I'm going to go in a little bit of a different direction so you get a different answer. I love that Eastlake is so inclusive. We have the Miracle League that invites anyone with any type of developmental disability to participate. We have an inclusive playground in Eastlake. We have an ADA launch, kayak launch, so it is accessible. We have a business, Stakes Manufacturing, that hires people with developmental disabilities. And then I think it was this year, they included swings at each of the parks for inclusivity. So if somebody has a disability, they're able to utilize these swings. So I think that we're a very welcoming community.
I agree with what the other three have already said. You know, we have a great stadium. We've got a ball team. Who else has a ball team? Nobody around here. That's a great attraction for the city. We also have a riverfront. We have several marinas. We are working with the new owners of CEI property to try, I say try, to get access to the beach. They're being very tight with what they're doing. Eastlake's got a lot of great things.
I agree. I also love Eastlake. What concerns me? I am concerned about the divisiveness. I am concerned that some of you, some of my friends, family members, neighbors, colleagues, residents, my constituents, won't vote for the best candidate in a nonpartisan election because of partisan views. Do any of you know the quote that I stated at the beginning was from Senator John Glenn? Do you know what party he was part of? Does it matter? Thank you.
For me, it's nostalgia. I mean, I grew up here. I'm still young enough to make bad decisions, even though I'm old enough to know better now. And Eastlake was where I learned all of that. When we go, I used to go out of town with my family to visit my uncle, and when I came home, the best part of Eastlake for me was seeing the CEI towers up there welcoming me back, you know. Going out to the lake with my sisters when I was younger, taking part in the recreational department when they'd have people come to every park throughout the city to be able to spend time with the kids over summer break. I used to go from one park to the next until I had to spend the last hour with a babysitter before my mom got off of work. I mean, the city I grew up with was very family-centric, and the thing that concerns me is a lot of that family orientation of the city has died off because we don't have the funding to keep it going.
What I love about Eastlake, well, I love everything. I've chosen to live here for 56 years, and I hope to live here a lot longer. I love our history and our people. What I love most is that we were able to take a city that was in a state of fiscal emergency, and we all worked together to bring that forward and to come to where we are today with such a large carryover. When push comes to shove, the city of Eastlake works together, they show up for each other, and we make changes. Small changes that become big changes. Whether it's flooding by the river and we all work together to help each other, it's phenomenal. In all these years, there's a fire that happens, we all get together, we help that family, whatever it is. Sometimes people don't know how to help, they just need to be told how to help and given the platform. And when that has happened, time and time again, you all have shown up. So I would say that that's what I love most, is the grit that our community has.
This question is aimed at the incumbents, but anyone else, any of the challengers who would like to answer this may. It's, please explain your decision to raise sewer rates by 65%.
I will touch on this because I've done an awful lot of research on this. And I guess perhaps this isn't the best platform for it. However, when that resolution came to us, each of us voted in the way that we understood it. After the fact, that I will tell you that was supposed to commence in 2026. And I am still struggling with that. I was chair of WPCC. Many years ago, I was not the chair, most recently, of WPCC. I think it was handled poorly in terms of we didn't notify the residents. On top of that sewer rate raise, you are all experiencing the sexennial effects and property taxes, which is leading to a very large group of people in the state of Ohio trying to abolish those property taxes. And that will come to a vote in 2026. So, again, it takes 4 of us up here to vote on something to pass it, and there are often times where we don't agree.
I'm just as frustrated as everyone else with this one. And not as an incumbent, but as a challenger. I do believe in transparency and communication. I also believe that we must become more proactive instead of reactive. And in order to do so, sometimes we have to slow down to speed up. We need to take our time. We need to think things through. And we need to make sure that everybody who needs to be at the table is at the table and that everybody is included. And as a resident, I really would have liked to have some notification in advance, or for something to be done incrementally instead of slammed all at once. Thank you.
I was on council when that started, and the reason it was explained to us was there had not been a significant tax increase, or I should say a fee increase on the sewer rates in, I believe, since 2010 or something like that. The state of Ohio came down with mandates that needed to be funded. For whatever reason, the previous administrations didn't do anything as far as raising the rates to keep up with the current pace. We started running into a deficit in 2018, and that money came out of the general fund. So we really didn't have a choice but to do that. And it was 3 readings by council. There were public meetings. So the public, I mean, if they're not paying attention to the website, they're not paying attention to council postings. Shame on them.
Okay, so agree with Chris. I agree with Jim. One thing I would like to put is, again, it wasn't passed on emergency. We were told that this needed to happen because of the funding needed. I did post it in the December 24th, 2024 Gazette. I have it. You can read it in my article. I did share it on my Facebook page on January 16th and January 17th. I get this stuff moves fast. I just need 1 second. I also brought up the rates at the Eastlake Women's Club. I brought up the rates at the Harbor meeting. And then when I was doing the senior produce, I would mention it to people. But after so many times when people are like, well, I'm not that old for the discount, I was like, oh, we need to stop that. So there were efforts to try to communicate the information.
Well, I agree with Jim and what he said about how we got to where we were and why we needed to make that decision. I can tell you one thing, that it wasn't an easy decision to make because it affects all of us. We all lived in Eastlake. The increase affected all of us, and none of us were very happy about it, but I do also agree that the communication could have been better, the information could have been shared better, so it wasn't a shock as much as it was.
I wasn't in council at that time, so I didn't have a vote on that. Finance director came to us with what was a deficit that was going to be 12 years, 13 years in the making, because previous administrations never did an increase, even a small percent increase for those years. The EPA coming down with the mandates, that's the way council at the time decided to address the subject.
This question was addressed to the incumbents, but I'm going to alter it a little for the challengers. Basically, why are you running? The question was, why are you running again? But also, if you're a challenger, why are you running? Let's start with Mr. Overstreet.
Well, the reason I'm running is I love Eastlake. I've been here since '83 and I got no plans of moving. I was serving on council when circumstances landed me in the mayor's office, and I did say that I didn't want the job. I wasn't going to run to keep it, but after being in the office and seeing what was happening, what was in the works, and what was getting ready to come to fruition, I wanted to be part of that. I came in third in the mayor's race in May, so I set my sights on council. At least I can be some use.
So I am running because I initially ran because I wanted representation. I felt like I didn't have a lot of people at that time that I could approach with concerns. And so I wanted somebody who was in the community. Community is very important to me, and serving is very important to me. And and this is not a knock on anyone, so please don't take that. But I just felt like I wanted to see more engagement. I'm continuing to do that because I feel like there's so much more that I can do and I want to be a part of. So I'm hoping that you give me the opportunity.
I'm running again because Eastlake has a tremendous amount of potential, and I'd like to see us achieve that and make us better in the long run. Coming on to council was quite a bit of a learning curve. I know all of us that were new on council were kind of looking for a little bit of direction when we started, and we were pretty much told you'll figure it out. So I think we've done a pretty decent job figuring it out. We just need to expand on what we've started and continue making those improvements.
Say, my time on city council and in the mayor's office, 8+ years, with help from some people on council and the mayor, we got a lot of things done. They're a good stamp on the city, from the senior center to the signage to the ramp park, Boris Landing Park, and some other things that are in the works. And we hopefully you'll let me continue doing my job.
I'm running again because it takes a good 4 years to get some of the programs that you wanted started and seeing them do a little bit to fruition and to get your footing. I'll echo what my colleague said with regards to when you come into this, you really have no idea what you're running into, and it really takes mentors that came before you to help you with that. And I think we all can kind of agree that we were just thrown into that deep end of the pond. But I'm running again because the projects that we've started are really good, solid ones, and I think we have a lot of potential. So seeing some of those projects through is really important to me. And I look forward to working again with my fellow council at large colleagues. Thank you.
I think I've made it kind of clear I'm running for families, or especially my family and all of ours, because I'm worried about where the direction of everything is headed. Right now, about 50% of our residents pay most of the taxes. Inflation across the country has gone up over 50% in 15 years, while the citizens in this city have only had a pay increase of around 7%. 20% of our residents are in poverty and 20% of them are retired, and we need to do things that are more proactive so that, like I said, our great-grandchildren can still call this home and make this a good, peaceful, family-oriented community for the future.
I believe in a proactive approach instead of a reactive approach. I've attended council meetings at times. I've also watched council meetings on video when we can hear them, and I know they're working on the audio. I don't think we should blame residents when there is a mandated change with 3 readings when we have no option to do anything. There should have been more advance notice, and I'm not blaming this administration. It goes years deep. I do want to share that I have experience with successful grant writing, providing proponent testimony for legislation, and I will be attending the International City County Management Association annual conference in October with thousands of local government leaders to network and attend educational sessions to discuss strategies for building better communities like here in Eastlake. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm starting to lose track. It's after 7:30. We need to be out of here by 8 o'clock. So I'm going to ask one more question. Why are the ordinances that council creates not enforced? Businesses and homeowners are not held to your ordinances. What will or can you do to enforce them? Let's start at this end and go straight down so I don't lose track.
Our position on council is to write legislation, discussed earlier, and ordinances. Enforcing the ordinances is done by the mayor's office and his people, basically. So the building department, service department, police would be the ones to enforce.
Enforcing the ordinances does fall on the administration. All council can do basically is keep being a bug in their ear and reminding them and keeping after them to do what they need to do to enforce those ordinances. Currently, they haven't been as enforced as much, and in my opinion, just because of the turmoil we've experienced within our administration, I think Jim's done a fine job of holding down the fort, and I'm looking forward to the new administration coming in, making these same improvements.
Just to echo what these gentlemen have said, it does fall under administration, but I know that you'll find a lot of us are quite persistent. So we will advocate for you and do our best to constantly put pressure for things to be changed and done.
Okay, from the administration part of this, it is my job to enforce it. So let's take a building code violation. When we're told about it, we send out an inspector. That inspector leaves a violation notice. If that notice is ignored, then we send a letter. If that letter is ignored, then we send another one. It eventually ends up in a citation that ends up in court. A lot of times the court throws those citations out. So we're right back to square one. That will come into the ordinances that have some more teeth in them to where we can actually force the owner to do it, have somebody do it for them, and then bill them and put it on their property taxes if they fail to pay that bill. That's where we need to come up with those ordinances.
So as I mentioned, I've attended council meetings and watched committee meetings. Through my education and nonprofit work, I've seen sometimes when something's not happening or something is happening, what they're discussing. But through my education and nonprofit work, I've learned that there are recourses for the administration and the law director they can do to affect change for community improvements. I know that currently our city doesn't hold vacant landlords by forcing them to appear. If they live out of city, out of state, out of county, how can we make them appear? Well, we could write an ordinance so that somebody local has to be responsible for that property so that we could circumvent some of the problems that we're having with enacting some of this legislation. Thank you.
Some of the ordinances do need to stick heavy with the people that deserve them. And I also believe that some of it is we need to do better as community members to work with the people that are having trouble. That being said, the city, from what I remember reading in the ordinances, has the right to do things that would be completely over the top. Like if it's a repeat offender, they're not following the orders, we could invoke eminent domain. We could get rid of that owner and give it to someone else if we wanted to. We have more abilities than just the things that we have written down. Not that I would ever want to do that, but it's one of the things that I think would be helpful is to actually show that we have this potential to have a strong backbone behind what we have already got.
So I called requested a referral for a ordinance meeting a couple weeks ago to introduce Kano laws, and those are criminal abatement nuisance ordinances, and that's the teeth that people are talking about. If you have a repeat offender multiple times, 3 times in a year, there's a fee that can be abated to that property tax. Why is that an issue? Our police officers used to respond to smaller issues. They would take 15 minutes, something like that. Now they're responding, and the response times are longer and longer and longer, and that is all coming out of our budgets. So it's incredibly important to get a handle on that because we literally are bleeding money at the seams with things like this. So increasing, putting those Kano laws into place is really important. It's going to be important for everybody. And yes, it does fall on the administration. Once again, we're legislators, but I also think, do I still have time? Sorry, I lost you out there. But I also think what's really important is to creatively come up with ways to help individuals beyond that, whether that's social outreach, working with our victims advocates to help people in need, to get some of those problems resolved.
I'm glad I don't have to choose between these 7 people. You are very lucky to have 7 such committed, caring people running for council at large. And I believe there are 4 seats open, right? 3 seats open. Excuse me, this is my 3rd event this week. But I really wish them all luck. I thank them very much for putting themselves out there and making democracy work. And I thank all of you for being here and caring enough about your community to find out what's going on. If I didn't get to your question, I apologize. You're not alone. Thank you very much. Good night.